This week's Bible study is on Psalm 24. Please read through the psalm before you watch this video, and you will probably find it helpful to have the psalm in front of you while you listen in. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please could you consider doing so. You just need to click the box below and it won't cost you anything. This psalm is in 3 distinct parts, and as you read it, you might want to imagine a big procession as the whole of Israel makes its way to celebrate a feast in the temple in Jerusalem, as this psalm provides a kind of liturgy for that. In Israel's history, there is the recollection of David bringing the Ark of God's presence into the royal city, and it's possible that this psalm scripts the regular repetition and reenactment of that event. The first part is verses 1 to 2. This is a great and solemn declaration, and you could imagine a priest standing at the front of this procession, shouting aloud this affirmation before they begin to make their way into the temple. This is a grand statement of creation theology. It applies to the political aspirations of the kings of Israel, for whom legitimacy was located in the temple. It also applies to their theological intentions, grounding the presence of God in the temple too. But it goes beyond that and thinks big, acknowledging God's ordering of the whole world and God's loving rule over every aspect of creation. In Hebrew, the psalm begins with a slightly different word order. To Yahweh belongs the earth. God owns everything, its inhabitants, its resources. It's all God's possession. It only has life because of God's generosity, and in return it lives its life in unreserved gratitude. This huge statement does away with any other possible claims. Nothing in the world belongs to any other god, or can legitimately serve any other god. Nothing in the world can, strictly speaking, be declared to be private property, not even by kings. Private ownership is a nonsense because ultimately everything belongs to God. And verse 2 goes on to give reasons for this. Yahweh has the power and authority to create a safe, dry place in the middle of the waters of chaos. Only God, Yahweh, has the capacity and the intention to bring order out of chaos so that life in this world is possible. Only God can allow life to thrive, and only God can bring life into being. The second part of the psalm begins in verse 3, and it seems like rather an abrupt shift. The question asked is, who shall ascend the hill of the Lord? Who can share in this procession of worship? The only thing that seems to connect this part, verses 3 to 6, to the first part is the fact that the place to which access is granted is the symbolic location of God the Creator. If you enter here, you have access to the vision and reality of the cosmos ordered by God, which is rich in blessing. You can go there only if you conform to God's rules of conduct. This includes respecting and living in a way that is good for creation. So the question asked is, who can go in? And there are 2 answers: those who in intent and action are pure, and those who do not act deceitfully. So on the positive side, you can go in if you love and respect your neighbour, if you enhance your community, and if you don't distort or manipulate social relations for your own benefit. You can go in if you live in ways that are good for creation in all its fragility. Those who qualify as having the status of friends of creation can go into the place where God is known to be. This is a place of blessing, vindication, and liberation in verse 5. Now that the Creator God's identity has been affirmed in the first part, and the requirements for creation have been laid out in the second part, the procession moves on again towards the temple in verses 7 to 10. As the procession approaches the doors, a litany is sung or shouted, ordering that the gates of the temple be opened so that the procession can gain entry. And the one who goes in first is not the priest or any of the people, but God, the King of glory. Commentators think that there is a visible reenactment of this drama, which is to do with the entry of the ark upon which sits the invisible triumphant God. The temple doors swing open, and you can imagine the singing and shouting and applause that would ensue. The one who comes is God, who is present in enormous power and splendour. The God who enters in with the people is the God who defeated the powers of chaos and death and who has created a safe space in which the world may live. The big cosmic realities of victory, life and well-being are made concrete and visible in this ritual, this drama. No wonder it's a cause for joyful and exuberant worship. If you would like to think about this psalm further, here are some questions that might help you. Firstly, read through the psalm again slowly 2 or 3 times. Try pausing between each of the 3 sections and try reading the psalm aloud. Imagine that you are part of that procession of worshippers making your way through the streets of Jerusalem to the temple. How do you respond to the statement that the earth is the Lord's and all that is in it? What does that say to you about your personal responsibility towards other people and all living things? Would you behave differently if you were told that your access to God depended on your treatment of every single part of the world in which we live? What does it mean to you to think that the God you approach in worship is also journeying with you on the procession? Perhaps try memorising parts of this psalm and reciting them as you travel to worship on Sunday, whether you're going by car, bike or walking to a building, or even to another room in the house where you might be worshipping at a physical distance. How could this psalm influence the way you prepare yourself to enter into worship? Reflect afterwards on whether this psalm had an impact on your attitude to worship or on the kind of worship you were able to offer. Did you find it helpful? And would you make it part of your worship routine?